Hey guys, what's going on? Mark from Double Clutch Auto Reviews here. Thank you again for tuning in for another how-to video. Today I'm going to show you how to check the level of the fluids and how to top off all the fluids in your car or truck. And the vehicle I'll be using for an example is my 2001 Dodge Dakota Sport. Before we get started checking our fluids, we want to make sure that the vehicle is on level ground as best as we can to make sure we get the most accurate reading. Now to get started, let's pop the hood. To pop the hood, you open the driver's side door and look down here in the driver's footwell. Typically a lot of hood latch releases are right here on the left, but that's where my park and brake releases. So they put my hood release right here. Just reach over and give it a pull. That'll open the hood. Back over to the front of the vehicle. Gonna come down here. Typically the hood release latch is right in line with the center of the hood. Mine is right here, as you can see. You just give this lever a pull. At the same time you push the hood up. And that pops your hood. And as you can see, my hood has built-in hood dampers right here that keep the hood up for me when it's open, so I don't have to worry about propping it up. Some hoods, you have to hold the hood up at the same time as you take the prop and line it up and stick it onto the hood to hold it up. As an example, I'll show you my girlfriend's 2013 Hyundai Tucson. She has a hood prop, but with this vehicle, the hood dampers take care of it for you, so you just push it up and it'll stay up. And now that we're under the hood, we're gonna start off with the most important fluid to check, your engine oil. Pretty much every vehicle has an engine oil dipstick, except for some modern vehicles like the 2019 Audi A5. But typically 99% of vehicles these days have an engine oil dipstick, and they typically all have a setup similar to this. Looking at the engine like this, the engine oil dipstick is usually easy to find. Mine is right here. And this one obviously even says engine oil right on it, so you know that's the engine oil dipstick. This has a skinny little metal dipstick that goes all the way down into the bottom of the engine block. And to check your oil and all the rest of your fluids, you're typically gonna use a dirty old rag like this. This is fine. You're gonna grab the dipstick, pull it out all the way, using the rag to hold the end. Be careful, sometimes these are very long. You're gonna wipe the end of it as such. Make sure it's completely clean. Feed it down back the little dipstick tube. Push it down all the way, make sure it clicks in so you know it's in all the way. Pull it out again slowly, and using the rag with your other hand to guide it up, and then check your level. You want to make sure the engine oil level is right between the full and low hash marks. Mine is right about smack dab in the middle. Now I'll wipe it clean so you can see the lines. If your oil level is below that low hash mark, you probably need to add at least 1 quart of oil. Your goal is to get the oil level between these two hash marks as close as you can to the full hash without overfilling it. As you can see right here, it says do not overfill. So my engine oil level is actually okay, but for demonstration purposes, I'm going to show you how to fill up your engine oil. The engine oil fill cap is typically close to the engine oil dipstick, but not always. Mine is located on the other side of the engine right here. You see it's marked engine oil. And to fill up your oil, first you unscrew the cap, set it aside, and next you want to grab a funnel if you have one. Put it right in there. This just makes your life easier and makes less of a mess. Obviously you can still put oil in there without a funnel if you had to, but if you have one, definitely convenient to use it. And next you want to make sure you use the right type of oil for your vehicle. The manufacturer recommends 10W30 for this engine in this truck. Now here's a great tip when you're topping off your engine oil. So when filling your engine with oil, instead of taking the jug and pouring it like this straight on, you actually want to tilt it sideways like this if you can. Pouring the oil in with the jug sideways prevents that glug 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 effect you sometimes get when pouring liquid out of a jug. Using this technique allows for a smoother pour, and it also helps prevent spilling or overfilling. And I'll demonstrate right now, having my jug tilted sideways. I want to pour the oil in slowly. Do short increments to be sure not to overfill it. And now we'll go back over to the engine oil dipstick. Pull the dipstick out. Wipe it clean. Stick it back in the hole, all the way down, push it in, make sure it's all the way down for a second. Pull it back out slowly, and check the level. Looks like we can add a little more. We'll add a little more. Like I said, do a little bit at a time. That's good. Let's check it again. All right, check it out. And that looks right on the money, just about full. So we're gonna stop there. And don't forget, take the funnel out, wipe it down real quick, then take your oil fill cap, screw it back on, make sure you don't cross thread it until it clicks. There you go. And now the next fluid I would check is the ATF, or automatic transmission fluid. However, if you didn't notice, this truck's a manual transmission, so I don't have automatic transmission fluid, obviously. Checking the automatic transmission fluid, or ATF, is relatively the same process as checking your engine oil, except you want to check your ATF when the truck is running and when it's warm. You typically do it the same way, pulling the dipstick out, wiping it clean, sticking it back in all the way, and pulling it out, making sure the level is between the two hash marks. And typically, ATF should be a nice red or pinkish color and not black or darkened. And some automatic transmission vehicles don't even have an automatic transmission fluid dipstick to even check it. If you do, you can check it yourself. If you don't, that's fine, just leave it alone. However, if you have a manual transmission, you can completely skip this step. And next, we're gonna move on to checking our engine antifreeze/coolant. The antifreeze and coolant reservoir is typically close to the front of the engine bay, near the radiator. Mine is right here. It says engine coolant right on it. This is the coolant reservoir. This is where you fill it. Sometimes you can also find it on the radiator as well. But for this truck, mine's right here. Now, before you open this cap, you absolutely 100% want to make sure that your engine is not hot before you open this cap. The cooling system in your engine runs under high pressure, so if you open this cap when it's hot, the fluids could spill out and burn you. You definitely don't want that. Make sure that your engine is cold and you open the cap slowly. And now when the engine is cold, I repeat, cold, you want to open the cap, set it aside, and pull out the dipstick. And I've pulled out the dipstick and you can see that mine is bone dry. So I definitely need to add some coolant. My truck's been having a minor coolant leaking issue, so I expected to top it off today. We'll set the dipstick aside, grab our funnel, make sure we wipe it out because we don't want to put oil remnants in the antifreeze coolant reservoir. Pop the funnel in, grab your coolant. And now before you start pouring the coolant into your reservoir, you want to make sure you have the right mix. As you can see, I wrote on here in magic marker 50-50 mix because I bought this as concentrated antifreeze coolant. You can also buy a jug of the premix solution. I honestly think you get more bang for your buck if you buy the concentrated solution because the premix is more expensive just because they diluted it for you. If you go through the little extra effort, you get a better bang for your buck if you buy the concentrated solution. You just have to make sure you mix it properly with water. So to top off our coolant, we're gonna do the same process as the oil. Unscrew the cap, and we're gonna hold the jug sideways like this to help prevent that glugging so we have a smoother pour. Don't overdo it, we'll put this down. Now we take our dipstick, slide it in, pull it out, and see what level we're at. So as you can see, we're right about there. So we have about that much more to go. And as I'm showing you, I would rather do this multiple times to make sure I'm not overfilling it. I think it's much better to do frequent small pours rather than just dumping a whole bunch of liquid in at once. It's always easier to add in a little bit more fluid rather than remove excess fluid because you put in too much. Pour in a little more. Oops, I spilled a little bit. That's okay. Make sure our dipstick is wiped so we get an accurate reading. Pull it out. And by the way this looks, the bubbles are all full, so my coolant level's perfect. Just put the dipstick back in as I just showed you. Pop the cap back on, you're all set. And next we're gonna move on to our brake fluid. My brake fluid reservoirs are right here, located towards the top right corner of the engine bay. To check the levels, you can simply open the cap on either one and take a look inside. Or if you don't wanna open the cap, you can look right on the side of the reservoir here, and you can see the words add and full. My level's right between add and full, so my brake fluid level is all set. And if in fact you needed to top off your brake fluid, you simply just unscrew the cap, use a funnel, and then top it off with the proper brake fluid for your car or truck. And moving on to the next fluid, we're gonna check our power steering fluid. My power steering fluid reservoir and fill cap is right down here. To check it, simply unscrew the cap, pull it out. You can see it has a little dipstick too. You wanna wipe that clean as best you can. And as you can see on the little power steering fluid dipstick, there's an add hash mark and a hot hash mark. If you're checking this when the engine is warm, it should be just below the hot hash mark. But if it's below the add hash mark, you're gonna need to add some power steering fluid. And to check the level, stick the dipstick back in, screw the cap back on all the way until it clicks. Slowly remove it and check your level. My level is right smack dab in the middle on my cold engine, so that's perfect. All right, so my power steering fluid's all set. Stick it back on, screw the cap back on tight. And last but not least, we're gonna check our windshield washer fluid. My windshield washer fluid reservoir is right here, as you can see. It's clearly marked washer fluid only. Now to check your windshield washer fluid, just simply open the cap and look inside. The windshield washer fluid reservoir should just be filled right to the top every time. As you can see from my reservoir, there is a little bit more room to top it off. So that's exactly what I'm gonna do. You grab your funnel, Wipe it clean before you put it in. So with this type of a jug, you can't really pour it sideways to prevent that glug, glug, glug effect as I told you before. I know, very scientific terms here. But for this, the same concept goes as with all the other fluids. You want to pour it slowly and steadily to make sure you don't spill it. Unscrew the cap, pop the little seal with your finger. Make sure you pull the stuff off so it doesn't get in your way. And now we pour it in, nice and slow. And we're just gonna wait till it comes right to the top. Perfect. And as you can see, that is right at the top. Can't get any more fluid in there. So that's all good. All right, and now that we're all done checking all our fluids, make sure everything that we use, like our rag and funnel, is out of the engine bay. Make sure all the caps are on properly and on tight. And now we simply just close the hood and make sure you slam it down hard enough so it latches. All right. And we're all done. And now you know how to check all the levels of and top all the fluids off in your car or truck. All right, guys, that's all I have for you today. I hope you found this video helpful and informative. If you liked the video, please give me a like and consider subscribing. Catch you all in the next one, guys. Take care. Have a great day.